Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Welcome to Ask Us Anything. This is a webinar where we answer your questions live about TalentLMS. Let's get started. My name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I'll be hosting the session answering your questions live right here. Behind the scenes, Ben is also going to help. He's part of our team and he will be able to answer your questions as you submit them as well. So, both of us, we aim to answer all of your questions or as many questions as possible. Let's see what we have prepared. Today, we have a short presentation about tests. Tests in TalentLMS are the tool that you will need to create automated ways to evaluate your learners. So we will see how you can create a test and then how you can preview the test that you created to see that everything is as you want it for your learners. And at the end, it's all about results. You will see how you can export test results and, of course, how you will be able to see how everybody has performed in the test that you have created. This will roughly take 10 minutes, and then the rest of the time will be for your questions. So submit them by using the Q&A button that you will see in the meeting controls. Don't forget, the webinar is recorded and you will receive the recording once the session is over. So the next day, keep an eye on your inbox so that way you can see the recording and of course share it with anybody who wants to learn more about tests and of course have their questions answered as well. Now, let's get started and let me share my screen right here.
Now, the first thing that we have to do here is to see how we are logged in. Instructors. Instructors are the people who will be able to create a test. Remember, the instructor can edit the content, create courses, and of course, create tests. I'm not going to go around the bush a lot. I'm just going to go right into this webinar course that I have created. So just click on the edits pencil icon, and this is where you will see an empty course ready to be used. How can you add a test? By clicking on the add button there and going to the test unit there. So let's click and add a test together. Now, the tests have lots and lots of different types of questions that you can use. And you will see that I have been experimenting with a couple of questions earlier, but we will also create some together. Before we even just get to create the test, first of all, let's give it a name. I'm going to call it quiz. And then on the right-hand side, you have all the different type questions to use. For example, multiple choice, fill the gap, order them, drag and drop, and a lot more. So let's start. I'm going to do a multiple choice right there. And I'm going to add a question which could be a little bit obvious. So let's say I'm going to add how many months a year has, or maybe let's change it, how many weeks does a year have? And then I'm going to say 52, or maybe 12, or maybe 8. And if you want to mark which is the correct answer, let's say here that would be 52. I hope it's 52, maybe 54. But for this example, the answer can be anything. So I'm just going to put 52 right here and just save. This is how we just created a multiple choice question. And then you can have lots of other type of questions. For example, let's say here we're going to do the fill in the gap. I've already created one, so either you start clicking and creating one, or let's see the one that we have created here. So if you have any questions pre-made, just hover, edits, and you can always just continue working on them. Now, how does that work and what fill the gap means, especially for an automated test? It means that you can give different letters, different words, different sentences if you want as the correct ones, and people will be able to select which one is the correct and mark this one that fills the particular gap. And of course, you have a manual. You have the information here on how to create one. For example, this is what I've done here. I followed the information, like you create the question and you use brackets for the possible answers. If you want to have more than one, you use a slash here, a slanted dash, and there you can have the correct one being the first, and then the other, which will not be correct, being the second and the third option. So let's save, and let's see how that would show up. How do you preview if you want? Of course, you can hover again, and then you can click on the magnifying glass. And there you have it. You have the option to preview the different options that you would like to have into the answers. And then another thing as well, what other type of questions would you have? Of course, you can have in ordering, which is where you will be able to create a question, and then below you could provide the correct answers in order. They will appear in different order, and then people will have to put the correct answer to the correct place. And then if we get back, you have the option to do the same with drag and drop. You can create pairs and people can match the pairs. The other thing is the free text. And the free text is a question which, again, it is designed for an automated test, but still allows you to create a very specific set of answers that you would expect so people can provide the answers and get the correct grade. For example, I'm going to select, let's say this one, edit, or just click on the right to create one. And there we have it. You will be able to see which is the last month of the year. And we can say that the correct points are 4. And then the answer will be correct only if it includes the word December. And there you have it. You can have 4 points if it gets the correct word, and save. What this would be benefit you for, let's say that you have a very specific terminology that you want people to use. And if you want them to be tested on the use of the terminology, that is exactly the right type of question. And of course, you have more questions that you can experiment for. But what I'm going to show you for a quick moment is what other settings you can always use when you work with the test. So I'm going to go to the test options on the right-hand side. And you can set the duration. For example, you can say that 10 minutes will be the maximum amount of time that these people will have to complete the text. And what would be the threshold? What would be the pass score? Well, I'm going to be very strict today, and I'm going to say 80%. And then you can shuffle the questions if you want. You can even shuffle the possible answers so they don't have the same, let's say, multiple choice order every single time, so they don't always know that the second one is the correct. So why not shuffle that too? And of course, allow people to repeat the test if they haven't passed or maybe not. And again, allow them to move to the next or previous one and just make their experience different based on how much you want them to be able to navigate through the test or how much you want them to complete it exactly as you have designed it. Don't forget, write a description because why not? And then, of course, you can add a message if they have passed or a message if they have not passed, which will be displayed based on the result that they get. If you want to preview the test, save and view. That's it. In TalentLMS, when you create contents, when you save something, you will be able to preview it right away as if you were a learner. So you see, we have the description here. Good luck. And then one question, 10 minutes, and start the test. Of course, I only have one question because I want to make this very easy for you right now, but you can, of course, add as many questions in the test as you want. So I'm going to say here 52. This is what I declared as correct, and then submit. You see the timer here that always counts down the remaining time. And again, that was an easy test, so I got 100%. What if you want to add other questions? Let's go back to edit. And from there, you have the option to continue adding more of the questions that you have created. Just because you have a couple of questions here doesn't mean that you have to use all of them. Or you can show questions from all courses. So that can be other courses that you work with. And you will be able to just go ahead and add other questions as well. And again, it can be as many questions as you need. Don't forget, how do we measure the success here? Let's go back as an admin. And of course, you can go back as an admin and see results from tests from everybody in the account. And of course, we're going to do it with the reports. So if we go as administrator to the reports, and especially to the test reports here, Let's see exactly what you can get from those type of reports. So you can always just get a very quick overview of all of your test reports, how many tests you had, how many attempts, how many passed, the average score, and more. And I'm going to show you a very quick trick. If you want to see the one with the most completed results, just click, and from the title right there, you will be able to see them in ascending or descending order based on what you are trying to achieve. For example, I'm going to go with the behavior-based safety here. That is one very popular course. So if I go to hover and click on the report icon, here you will be able to see, first of all, a very quick overview. That's you can see the people here that took the test, the score that they had, and of course you can always preview and see the exact results of that specific person that has submitted that test. Or my very favorite part, you can go to the analysis, and from there you can see how the entire set of responders to the test have answered and how that answer has been distributed. This will give you a very good understanding of where people might need a bit more help. For example, here we have a bit of people that have correctly answered the question and a lot of people who have not. So maybe you can always go back, review the content, review even the way that the question is phrased, and then of course, help the people succeed. How do you export the results? Easy. You can just click to download, export in Excel, and that's it. You can export it anytime. And you can always click and schedule. When you schedule the report, you automate the export of that report. So, for example, if you have, let's say, a roster where you want to get that report every single Friday, you go to weeks, slide back to one, so every 1 week, and then, of course, pick Friday, schedule, and you will receive it in your inbox. How about custom recipients? Of course, you want to share it with supervisors, managers, stakeholders. So here you have the option to add their email addresses, include yours if you want as well, and schedule, and all of you in here will receive the report in the decided amount of time. Don't worry, nobody will ever know that you received the report alongside somebody else because everybody gets their own unique email, and of course, nobody knows who else is a recipient. I hope that helps, and I hope that actually triggered a few questions that you might want to have with us. And I know that Ben has already answered a couple of questions, which is great. So feel free to ask any question. And of course, it doesn't have to be for tests. It can be for every single thing that you want. No matter the topic, ask questions, use the Q&A button right there. And of course, I'm here to answer. So I'm going to start answering a couple of questions that we received. And that is from Jacob. Is there a possibility to have multiple tests within one course? Well, absolutely. You can have as many tests as you want within a course. So if I go back here as an instructor, nothing will prevent me from actually adding another test. And once I get there, hover, edit, and here we have it. You can always go to add test. That can be another one. And of course, you can build it in the same way. I'm going to give you a very quick trick, though, that I think will help you a lot. You can create an inventory of tests. For example, you can have a course which will not be visible. You can have a deactivated course, and there you can have an inventory of tests. And anytime you want, you can recycle them. So you can go to add and then clone from another course. I'm going to pick which course I want. Let's say, I think this one. Select units. Let's say, do we have a test here? No, but let me go with the behavior-based safety because that is always our go-to course when we are testing things. So behavior-based safety, and of course, this is where you can always just click on the quiz, clone, and what you will see, another clone there. Of course, change name, edit the evidence here. So let's call it final test, and then you can use that as well. So not only you can have one, but you can have even an inventory of questions, an inventory of tests, and you will be able to use them within the course. Let's see another question. How can I add how can I add questions from other courses into the test? That is an anonymous question here. Let me show you. So if I go back into my quiz and edit, what you can always do is on the top right, show questions from all courses. And again, you can go ahead and add more and more and more questions. Let's see another one from Meredith. What if I want them to complete all sections and take the test and make a specific course to pass? Meredith, I will try to rephrase that and see if I got it right? I may be wrong. So what you're looking for is to have learners complete all the sections of the course, I assume, and take the test and make a specific course to pass. So what I would suggest here is two things. First, when we're talking about the last part, make a specific course to pass, I understand that you might want to have a prerequisite. So let's go to the rules and path right there in the course right-hand side dashboard and set the learning path. So if you want them before taking this course to get this one, for example, and have it completed, so you give them both courses, but they have to complete first this one before getting that one, this is a learning path. So that's done. Now, how you want them to complete all the sections and take the test, of course, when you show units here in the rules and paths section again, you have the option, which is by default, to take the units in a sequential order. So they start from the top, they go all the way to the bottom, and they complete everything you have here exactly in the order that you have it. So that way you don't have to worry. They will complete all the sections and then take the test at the end if you put it at the end. And that said, they should have first completed that course and then they will take this one. If this is what you're looking for, that's the answer. If you're not, please let me know and I will again get back to your question. Let's see another one, and that is something that, again, an anonymous attendee answers. Feel free to ask your questions anonymously as well. There is a lot of people who might want to ask any question but not show their name. Absolutely fine. Just ask it as an anonymous attendee. How can my users submit attachments with their answers in my test? That is a good question. Unfortunately, you cannot submit attachments using the tests because the tests are automated ones. So you cannot have an automated system rate an attachment. But what you can do is you can use assignments. So what you could do is go back to the course and click on add, select assignment right there. And of course, you can have an assignment about pretty much anything. So in this example, I will just call it exam and say here, please attach your response. Let's say you are trying to check how they can make a flowchart, for example, and you want them to attach a PDF for that. You have the option to allow people to complete it when you only grade them and you provide them feedback, or just upload it and mark that as completed in past. I'm going to go for the first one and save. And here, what you will be able to do is see that the learners will have the question on top. So please attach your response, and then they can click here and upload the file, and they will be able to go ahead and provide you with the attachments that you're looking for. I have a couple of resources to share with you, so I'm going to do that in my follow-up email for everybody. So you will also receive in my follow-up email a link for a related webinar for evaluating learners and especially resources for assignments. Meredith, you're back. Great. So let me see the clarification. The course is completed when all units are completed and the test is passed. It looks like you can only select one at a time. I don't think so. So let me just go back. So the course is completed when all the units are completed and only the test is passed? Yeah, you can, because this is what you can do. If you go to the rules and path here, you still have the option to change when the course is completed. So here, the course is completed when all the units are completed, including the test. So if the test is passed, of course, the unit will be completed. And you can say selected units are completed or selected test is passed. So you have the option to change that in the sense that by default, it will be completed when everything is completed, unless you want to change it. What I would do for you in this case, I would say that all the units are completed, but then the score will be the average of only the test or only the units that you choose. because maybe you have more than one test there, but you only want the final test to be the one who will determine the result. Think about those workarounds, Meredith, and try them out if you would like. And of course, we are here to help more. So send us an email if something would be different. Send us an email at trainingteam@talentlms.com. And of course, we will be able to help there. And again, we would be able to guide you based on the specific example that you might want to provide. Another question, lots of questions, and this one is about importing questions. Nice one. So let me go back to the course and let me go back to the test. And I think that this is something that you probably looking to import in a different format, right? Because somebody's asking again, an anonymous friend, can I import questions en masse at the same time on a test? You can if your questions are in gift or icon formats. So I'm going to show you a very quick thing here. If I go back to my test, and then if I go on the right-hand side once more and have a look at import, that is right there, click on it, and you will be able to just choose your different type of questions. And again, just use the template that you would see here. Don't worry about that being something that looks like code. It is a very specific format that you can import the questions. And for that, on the chat right now, our team, Ben, basically has shared a link which will give you all the answers about gift or icon formats. So those who work with that, absolutely you can import. Just have a look on the article. And there is another question as well, and that is if your users or basically your instructors can filter the questions. So there is an instructor related question that they're asking. Sorry, I'm just mumbling because there is a paragraph there. So the question is, can I filter the questions as an instructor so that way I can see them faster? And of course, there's some good feedback about the session, which we always appreciate. Yes, you can. So let me just go back to my beloved quiz here, and let me just create a new question. So for example, if I want to not even just create a question, let's just go and add a question or edit a question. So just edit this one here. And what you will see is that we have tags underneath. So you see, we have tags. So you can create new tags. For example, let's say that is for new hires or that is procedures. And anytime that you type and you press enter or click on your mouse, same thing, you create brand new tags. So if I go now to save, then you will see that in my different options here, I can always click on the tag and find related question for that, click again on the tag and go back to my main results. Or if I go here and search just with remotes, let's see what this will bring up. This will bring up, again, questions that have the related tags. So yes, you can make life for your instructors much easier while you will be able to just create different tags. And there's another question from Henrik. Can I record an instructor-led training unit and then upload it to TalentLMS after it's done? Absolutely, yes. And many people are doing that, and we advise a lot of people to do that. So if we go back to the webinar course here that we have, how are you going to do your instructor-led training session? Is it something that you're going to do through one of the integrations that we support, Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, GoToTraining, or Big Blue Button, or is it going to be through a different provider? No matter what the provider is, when you create your instructor-led training session within TalentLMS, at the end of the day, that takes place within your provider since that's integrated. And there you can record it as, for example, we are recording this webinar right now. And once you get the recording in your hand, you can go to add video within, of course, your course. And the only thing that you have to do is go to use a video and then upload a video. Click there. It will allow you to open up your folder, upload the video, and that is just it. And of course, that is a very, very good way of allowing people to see the recording of your ILT later, because they can always still participate in the course. You can have a test afterwards. You can have even more content in the course and still include the recorded version of the live session. So that is a big yes. And one more about notifications. Can I have notifications for people who have not completed the course? Again, an anonymous question that we received here. Yes, but notification is an admin's job. So let's go back as an administrator, and there we will be able to work with the events engine, which is where the notification control panel, if you want, is. So I'm going to add a notification right there, and I'm going to show you how to create lots of them, including the one you asked for. The notifications work based on the event that will be triggered here. So if you want to have notifications about people who don't complete the course, for example, you can do this one. Let's say number of hours after course acquisition, and you can send your recipients, the related user, which is the person that has not completed the course, a couple of hours, let's say 24 hours since they got the course, a message. And here you can create your notification message, subject line, body, and more. Do you want to make this one a recurring one? Why not? Click on this is a recurring notification and pick when you want that to happen. So let's say that would be every 2 weeks maybe, and that's going to happen for 8 times. And then of course, give it a name, create the notification, and that's a job done. Of course, plenty again to go through. So in my follow-up, alongside the recording, I'm going to send you the related resources and webinar about notifications, so that way you can see all about those as well. We got a lot of questions. I know that Ben behind the scenes has answered a lot of them as well. And of course, I would like to thank you for being part of this session today.
Now, I know you have a lot of questions and we have answered as many as possible right here, but if you have more questions, please get in touch with us. This is our email, that is trainingteam@talentlms.com. Feel free to send us an email so that way we will be able to answer your questions and, of course, offer advice with anything that you would like to do with TalentLMS. And we also have a question for you. So feel free to fill in the survey that we have in the chat right now. There's a link. Click on it, please, and feel free to share your thoughts, your feedback, your suggestions about this, and of course, the sessions that you would like to see from us in the future. Lastly, if you want to see past sessions or upcoming sessions and join our next live webinar, please visit our website, that is talentlms.com/webinars. And there you will be able to find a big inventory of webinars and make sure that you will check them out and really become masters of TalentLMS. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Ben, for being a trooper behind the scenes. And of course, we are hoping to see you in our upcoming sessions. Till then, happy training.